Hello.
Yeah.
So just before we begin, I actually really enjoyed that. One thing I do actually want to point out is that there's water on the table. That coffee also uses water, and that everybody in this room actually had to have some form of water today to survive. Whether it be to wash, to clean, to cook, or just to drink, you actually all need water. I don't necessarily know how to make water interesting, except about how to actually convince people that it's essential to life and remind you about that.
Right. You guys are all cheeky, aren't you? Right. 5 minutes starts now.
So, this one? Not work? Doesn't work? Which button is it? Which? What? This one? Okay. Hi everyone. So the aim of Green Connection is to contribute to the enhancement of water management practices in the rice industry in Bangladesh. So what we're doing at the moment is starting to develop a knowledge and information platform that would connect the Australian and the Bangladeshi rice industries. So the team is formed by myself, Richard, no. Well, myself, Richard, and Emmanuel, who wasn't able to be here tonight, this afternoon. We are master students. Next one. Okay, so this is a problem we're looking at. Rice is the staple of most of the world's population diet, and that's the case of Bangladesh as well. Almost 18 million metric tons are produced every year, and most of this rice production is a variety that needs a lot of water to be produced. So if there's no water, there's no rice. And there's an increasing population and decreasing levels of water. So with increasing population, we need more rice to feed this population. And if there's not enough water, what we can do, and that's when Green Connection comes in, we can help develop and implement better practices so that with the same amount of water, more rice can be produced and of a better quality. And we're looking at this problem from a country which has the world's most efficient and productive rice industry in the world, which is Australia. Australia spends over $18 million to improve their practices, to innovate, to make it more efficient. So what Green Connection would do is we'd undertake research on the practices that are being implemented here, on the data that is available, on the information that is available, and research on that, analyze on that. To the extent that it's possible to us, we would engage with stakeholders in Australia, and we would analyze that and see how information we have can be adapted to the environment and to the social, economic, cultural environment in Bangladesh. We collaborate with organizations in the field to further develop the practices and to use their influential power to implement these practices. So this is just some examples of the potential collaborators that we would have in Bangladesh. And as I said, we would offer the research, the Australian input, and we would get their input to us and their influential power to...
Everything's falling apart. Okay, look, there is a big demand for this. There is. Okay, water is essential to life. I don't need to remind everybody about that. But how do you make a sustainable business model out of water? It's very difficult. Both Maria and I actually subscribe to ethical consumerism. I do not want to merchandise. I do not want stuff that's going to end up in a landfill. In 6 months' time, and the amount of likes you get on Facebook does not dictate a bottom line. So what we currently are doing is actually communicating, one, with Shield Risk Insurance in South Africa, and also Metric Minerals in Australia. Both of these people actually want green consulting. Green consulting is on the rise in South Africa. There's a huge demand for the service, and also in Australia. Particularly with Metric Minerals, they're a mining company, so I get out on there and I'm like, look, you can't actually dump that. You can't put those chemicals in the river. And he's like, oh, damn. But Easy. This is a basic sort of rundown of what we would be expecting.
Quick comment.
Basic. Okay. We'll just skip that. Going back to the timeline, we're currently at this stage of it now, where it says now, and we're planning to do a lot of research and an analysis. We're also actually planning to get investment from Metric Minerals and Shield Risk Consultants. Both of these provide extremely good forex exchange rate because the Bangladeshi currency is actually very favourable to the South African rand and also the Australian dollar, and that will be providing for our first trip to Bangladesh. And yes, connecting organisations and producers around the world is probably what we're going to be doing. This is not an idea or a concept. This is us moving towards a not-for-profit consultancy agency. This is one of multiple projects we're actually interested in. I want to actually be able to change the world from the top down and from the bottom up, and this presents me with an opportunity to do so.
Thanks, guys. It's tougher when you're up in front of a crowd, isn't it? But look, well done, you got through it. My question really is, what's the connection with Bangladesh? Where's the passion for the cause coming from? I'd love to hear some of that story.
Bangladesh was not actually picked at random. I didn't actually open a globe and go bang. That's not what I did. If you look at Bangladesh, there's a lack of information regarding, one, the population, two, the industries there. From what I do know from actually researching a lot of NGOs on the ground is that there is a substantial need. You've got a lot of traditional rice farmers who are actually the detriment to the commercial industry because of the pollution that's actually being pushed downstream. So that, and also the fact that there's a huge rice growing industry, there is a huge population increase, and there is a decreasing amount of water.
And that we believe that there are already huge number of producers, of NGOs, of institutions. They're all doing their thing. What we want to do is to connect them so that what they do can be more efficient, to help them and to contribute to that, but to using other people and other organizations' work and effort.
I'd say the crux of it is the fact that Australia produces rice and we don't need to. We have a limited amount of water. We don't actually need to produce rice at all. The only reason we're so efficient is because we live in a very harsh climate. We don't need to actually produce this. So we can take what we've learned and we can chuck it over there, and it can even help bilateral trade agreements. There's $500 million every year that's being provided between Australia and Bangladesh.
So this is technology knowledge transfer from Australia to Bangladesh?
Yes.
So what does the Bangladesh Rice Research Institute?
Sorry, the Bangladesh Rice River.
What are your partners, Bangladesh Rice Research Institute?
Potential collaborator.
Oh, sorry.
Potential collaborator. But Bangladesh is a very closed Islamic society. It's a very close Islamic society, and gaining information, particularly on the ground, is extremely hard. One, I think, if I can go back.
Do you want me to try?
It works when you don't need it.
Are you sure?
Both of the top ones are actually the only institutes which actually have any viable information on the ground, both sales, quantity, and how many people they feed. And that's possibly as reliable as you're going to get, because you can't just type it into Google.